Well, hey, good afternoon, my sweet little kitty cats. How is everybody doing today? If you're seeing that red light button, you are live with me right here in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, where it is sunny and not too bad out today. We actually did get a little bit of snow yesterday. Nothing terrible. I can't even see any of it on the trees. If that red light button is missing, you're catching me on the replay. Please just put hashtag replay in your comments for me so I know you stopped in. I would greatly appreciate it. But if you're able to join me live, of course, please say hello so I can welcome you in. I'm so happy to have all of you today. I missed you guys. It's been a busy week, and here we all again pre-Friday. Isn't that crazy? Hi, beautiful Kim. Nice to see you. Guys, I'm still drinking my coffee. Anybody else? Have my mushroom coffee in here as well. Hi, Susan. Nice to see you. I know some of you ordered that mushroom coffee, and many of you have told me that you love it. Well, hey, Mickey, I'm so glad that you found me too, hon. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. Good afternoon, my beautiful Denise. How are you? Hey, sweet Cheryl. Nice to have you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Hey, Shannon, hon. Nice to have you. There's my beautiful and wonderful Giselle. How are you, sweetie? Hi, sweet Stephanie. Nice to have you. You are, Beverly. What are you making, hon? Hi, Lynette, dear. I was just working on some FormFlex castings. I need a few more to go with our project for today. So I just pulled these out of the freezer. Thank you, Susan. You have your copy too, Kim, at work, hon? Thank you, Giselle. So they pop out beautifully when you freeze your FormFlex, if you use that. And if you struggle at all, definitely want to freeze. Hi, Pamela, hon. After you fill your molds. So this is FormFlex compound. This is a fragrant roses. Sweet Cheryl, I have it linked on my page, what we get from Amazon. Hi, sweet Jennifer, nice to see you. And it's not like grounds that you would put through your coffee maker. You just mix it in with your coffee, or you can make it a cold coffee as well. It has a lot of different happy benefits to drinking it. Thank you, Jennifer Hun. So for example, there's several specific mushrooms in there, and they tell you on the package. You just clocked in back from lunch, Hun. I'm so happy to have you. Thank you, Denise, for digestion and all that kind of stuff. Well, hey, sweet lady, vintage designs and a dash of sass and savvy. I always challenge myself when I see you come on to see if I can pronounce your business name properly. Hi, Suzanne, nice to see you. So I just mix a scoop of it into my regular coffee every day using a cloche and angel eyes for a frame. Oh, that's so nice. I'm so glad you told me that. Hey, sweet Elizabeth, I'm happy that you caught me live too, darling. Yesterday, guys, I'm so sorry I couldn't go live. I did a little something to my neck. It happens to me all the time. And it feels like a nerve is pinched off there, and it brought out this nasty migraine, and I just could not bring myself to do it. So if you're interested in that mushroom coffee, hey, Roxanne, darling, I do have the link to it on my page down a little bit for Amazon. We love it. And I just take a little frother and froth it in with my coffee. Hi, my sweet Debbie. How are you doing, hon? So we needed this last piece here as well. Hey, sweet Lori, thank you so much for the sprinkle. And then this way I wanted to show you guys as well why I myself don't like to paint these when they're fresh out of the freezer. So we're going to kind of let these sit for a little bit. And when they come to temperature, I'm going to show you the difference between those that we just took out and then others that I've had sitting for at least 24 hours, and kind of show you why I feel it's a good idea to wait. But we are going to talk all things fine line crackle today. Hi, Phyllis, hon. How are you doing? Hi, Diane. So nice to see you. And the reason is I am definitely going to upload this one to my YouTube channel. What does the mushroom coffee do for you? There's lots of different benefits, and it tells you on the back of the package. I should have brought one down here. Which mushrooms do which things for you, for digestion, for all the stuff, you know. Hey, sweet Victoria. Nice to see you, hon. How are you? Next time I'm live, I will bring it down here and I will read it off to you. Hello, sweet Joyce Ann. Nice to see you, darling. You don't have to apologize, my friend. Life gets in the way, right? If you can be here for a lot or a little or replays, all of that is important to me and means the world to me. So thank you so much. So I know I've done fine line crackle all the time with you guys, and I'm so sorry about that, but there are some of you who are ordering it and maybe new to it for the first time or really want it to work for you. So I thought we should do something that I can upload over to YouTube. That way it will be saved and you can always have that reference. You're so welcome, Denise. Jennifer, she's doing wonderful. I had her Monday, Tuesday this week. Next week will be Monday, Wednesday. And then I might pick up a half a day in the summer with her as well. How wonderful is that? I'm so excited. Thank you for asking, Jennifer. So I have this really fun, just a super cool piece here that I picked up thrifting. How is my sweet Debbie doing? How is your back, darling? And it had some kind of little wording on here about wine, I think it was. Hi, Marianne. When are you having your sale? Like a little auction, you mean, darling? Probably in the near future, I will do another silent auction because I think I have about the right number of items that works well for me. Hey, sweet Trish. Thank you, dear. So this is kind of a nice and chunky sign. It had the plastic on it in the corners, you know, hi, sweet Shauna Hun, with the cardboard. So, I mean, it was brand stinking new, and I think it was $2.99. It's not even that heavy. Sweet Marianne, it will definitely be in the next week or so. I will give you details as I come up with a date and just kind of see what I have. But I think I have enough to get ready for one. Hi, sweet Della. Thank you for the sprinkle. Thank you, sweet Shauna. It's better than it was. It's just not quite right yet. Let me tell you that. I had to do a little driving yesterday, and when I was looking back and forth at the stop signs, it was like, oh, God. So on here, to prime this, I used my Premium Plus 2-in-1 primer. It's a little bit rubbed off there from Paint Couture. I put 2 coats of that on. Thank you for asking, Marianne. I appreciate that, hon. So I put a coat on, I let it dry really well, put another coat on, let it dry really well. Thank you, sweet Shauna. And you can see I did the same thing on the sides because this was black in the background. So that primer covers beautifully. And then I just gave it a nice coat of an ivory chalk paint. So we are gonna decoupage down a beautiful rice paper. I have had this one, guys, for so long in my stash, and I am trying to use up some of the things that I have. So I thought we'd do something fun with this one today. So I've just gone around the edges with my little water pen and kind of feathered those edges because it's gonna be a little bit short on our piece. And I am gonna put you down here a little bit. Oh my goodness. And let's see what we can't do with this. So we are gonna have to do just the ever slightest little blending on the top and the bottom, a little bit on the sides, but I have some beautiful Formflex castings. So these are some of those that have been sitting for a couple of days. Thank you, Shauna Hun, I appreciate you. And I did not put these in a covered container, anything. These have probably been sitting for 2 days and they are nice and flexible. But they also have a little bit of, I know, right? He does do that for me quite often. I have some stuff from doTERRA. It's like essential oils, and it's called Deep Blue. It's kind of like an icy hot, and that's what works well for me. You just kind of get a little stinky. Thanks, Kim. So I don't know how to describe these. They have flexibility, but they're also, thank you, hon. Isn't that so pretty? I think it's from LaBlanche on my link to TH Decor. A lot of times when they don't have anything on the bottom that says who the print is by, I find that it is LaBlanche. And if you need my link to TH Decor, just type in your comments, !THDECOR. Thank you, sweet Della. It's always lowercase and no spaces. Of course, you'll get back that little notification right here in the comments. Click on it. It takes you over to my TH Decor link, and then you can search by rice paper brands like Decoupage Queen, AB Studios, and LaBlanche, all of them. Hi, sweet Paula. Hi, little Harper. How are you, darling? I've used that quite a bit myself, Phyllis. Yes. Hi, Susan. Nice to have you. Thank you, Shauna. So they have a little bit more, help me out. What do I want to say? Hi, beautiful Tammy. How are you doing, hon? I hope you're feeling better. They're not so delicate that I can't you know, do some bending with this and be a little bit more aggressive. Now I know I can paint these. I'm not going to mar up that detail. Hi, my beautiful Trina. Happy belated birthday, darling. So nice to see you. And I'll show you the other ones that we just took out. Hi, Rose. Nice to have you, hon. And what the difference is and why I choose to wait on these. You're so welcome, Cheryl, hon. So we are going to be putting these around this, kind of making a frame out of it. I have several of them, as well as these beautiful little like sprays of roses, since they are, yes, sturdier. Thank you, hon. So these are all Formflex castings. I use this one all the time, and it came from a little, gosh, it's so dirty. I'm embarrassed to show you this, from a little mold from Amazon. And I just use my Formflex in there, put it in my freezer. You cannot over freeze your Formflex castings, so if you forget about it till the next day, it's perfectly okay. Oh, Rose, I'm so sorry, hon. I'm so sorry to hear that. You have my deepest sympathy, darling. You have been through a lot. And then just some other little rose castings that we're going to use to kind of build up the frame around here. Then we may resin the inside of it. You're welcome, Trina. And I will do all of that with you so you can see it from start to finish. We'll do something on the sides and the top and bottom. I'm just not quite sure what yet. So we're going to decoupage this down with our Silky Shine Varnish and Glue from Pentart. That's my favorite. And then if you are interested in what you need for Fine Line Crackle, I'm going to kind of start from scratch on this and tell you all the things and what I've learned along the way. But what you need is step 1 and 2 of the Fine Line Crackle system. So this is step 1. It says component 1 there, and then component 2. And you can get these in smaller sizes. I just love it so much. I wish they made even bigger sizes of this. This is a 250 mil, 230. And I think the other one is 100 or 150. Hi, Kimberly. Okay, so you need step 1 and 2. This is from TH Decor. And then you need some sort of a solvent-based varnish. This is the Glossy from Pentart. So if you go to TH Decor and you look for Fine Line Crackle, you can search by that. You can search by varnishes. You're making pickles in a blanket? How amazing is that? But you have to have the solvent base. So this is the one that I use more often than not. I like the Glossy, but you can also get this one as well. It's just this one is super stinky. So if you're sensitive to that, I always tell people opt for the first one. Clear varnish gloss. It doesn't say solvent based on here, but it does in the back in the ingredients. And this one I like as well. It's glossy. So a couple options there. You cannot seal it with anything other than solvent based. That's the only crackle system that requires that. All other TH Decor crackle systems, you don't need the solvent based. Okay, so you would need those 3 things. You will find the step 1 and step 2. Yes, Tammy. Yes, that one is super stinky. The second one I showed you. The first one is what I use more often than not. And that way you're 100% sure when you're getting it that it is solvent based because it says it right there. So when you find it out on TH Decor, you're going to see step 1 and 2 together. You buy that as a bundle, but then you would get this portion of it separately. So you can search glossy varnish. You can go under the heading varnish. Just look for the solvent based. Okay. And then you need 2 clean and dry brushes. So no dampness to them whatsoever. You can't have just washed them and dried them off really good on a paper towel. Definitely don't want to use that. No water products, no sweaty fingers, all that kind of stuff. And we all know I have a little sweaty fingers. And then your options for what you can use to put into the crackle, because once we get that beautiful crackle going, we want to kind of accentuate it and highlight it, right? You're in a winter storm. Oh, Vicki, I'm so sorry. Not good. Will you stay safe and warm? Hey, Michelle. You just have the component, but unsure. You have the one component, crackle. That one is more the one that you would sandwich between 2 colors. So let's say you put down a dark color like black. You would dry that really well, put on then your one component crackle, and just in a nice, you know, even layer as best as you can. Dry that really well. And then typically your lighter color goes over the top of that. So maybe you do an ivory color, let's say. Then you put the ivory color on top. Each step you're drying well in between. And in between you have that black, the one component crackle, then your light color. So it's gonna crackle and show you the dark color coming through. But for fun, I've done quite a few times where I've done the light one first, then my one component, then a dark one. It's still beautiful. It's just a little bit of a different look, you know? Better than 10 or so days ago. Ugh. But that cough hangs on for so many people. Isn't that crazy? So 2 clean, dry brushes. You're absolutely welcome, my dear Beverly Hun. And then for the crackle, you can use pigment powders. I just pulled a couple of them out today. I have a white gold, chameleon, and then a gold. Pigment powders, metal pigment, those you can get as well on TH Decor. Hi, sweet Linda. This is a chameleon pigment powder in white gold. There's lots of different colors out there. I have a rose gold, I have a champagne, I have a silver, there's copper, there's all kinds of beautiful colors. And then you could use mica powders as well, art mica, those are out there too. Or you can use wax paste. So gold wax paste is my favorite. That's more metallic looking, I will say. And then you can use antique paste as well if you so choose. And this just gives it more of an aged kind of old look to it. So wax paste, antique paste, basically waxes, but they just give you a little bit of a different look. One more metallic, one a little bit more aged. Hey, sweet Carol Ann, how are you, hun? How is Linda doing today? So I'm not 100% sure what we'll use in the cracks on this one. I'm tempted to do the Umbra Antique Wax in here. Hi, Ellen, how are you? Because I want this to be a little bit aged, and looking at the paper a little closer, you can kind of see, you know, there's some cracks in what would be the wall, we'll call it. So we'll kind of see how it works. Hi, Anna, nice to have you. All right, so let's go ahead and get to getting. Sorry about all that. Thank you for the sprinkle. I just want this to be a super informative live so that I can upload this over to the YouTube, and that way you have access to it all the time. So we'll do our best just to kind of line it up here. I have my little squeegee. I am really loving using this to put down rice papers. Thank you, Carol Ann, hon, I appreciate it. And Anna, you can find little squeegees on TH Decor as well. Just type right in the search engine, squeegee. What a fun word that is to say. And I enjoy kind of doing it half at a time. So let me get a brush here. That one might be too big. I need to invest in some brushes. I know Miss Paula has seen my brushes and she's like, girl, do you have enough brushes? But we'll order more. Thank you, Michelle. Once fear of no freezing. I get it. Thank you, Caroline. I appreciate it. Oh, what was I saying? I apologize. Hi, April. Nice to see you. One a little bit at a time, squeegee. I don't remember what else I was saying, guys. It just goes in and out of my brain. So I do a half at a time here. That way I don't have to worry about repositioning my rice paper if I get it a little uneven, although you can lift it back up and lay it back down. It has that, you know, a little bit more forgiving than, say, a napkin would. And I just like to put a lighter color behind my rice paper so that it gives a nice pop. So I use a lot of ivory chalk paint, plaster, sheepskin, whatever you have. And you can use acrylic paint for it as well if you'd like. That's just my preference. I love me my chalk paints. So this way you just kind of give yourself a good opportunity to get this down flat. I kind of start from the middle, push out the side. Hi, my beautiful, sweet Kimberly. Push to the tops and sides, I should say. It goes down gorgeous. But then if you do have any bubbles or little wrinkles in there, You can always do the little iron method if you want it to have a super flat and smooth look to it, right? Oh, Kim, you're going to absolutely love it. Angel Eyes from Paint Couture is my favorite. I cannot help myself. It's just the softest, prettiest, if you could imagine an angel eyes. Hi, Donna Hun. In person, I think that's what they would look like. All right, so I said earlier on Fine Line Crackle that you can't use any water-based products. We are going to seal this with my same varnish and glue here from Pentart, and this is a water-based product, but that part is okay. It is a color, Tammy. Would you like to see it? I show it to ya. I just used it, I think, but it is gorgeous. So if you're sealing, hey, sweet Debbie, darling, nice to have you. And it's a water-based product, that is okay. As long as you dry it super, super well, you're good. So if what you have is Mod Podge and you like to use that to put down your rice paper, by all means do that. Give it a nice seal on the top. Use your Mod Podge, that's okay, or whatever you like. I just prefer this Silky Shine. It's not super glossy. I don't really like matte. Yes, how is that sweet grandson doing of yours? Send me some updated pictures of him. I love baby pictures. And it's just, I don't know, I just like the ease of this because we can use it as a glue to put down and then as a varnish to seal. It is, Denise. So if you're referencing this back and say, Kelly, you said no water products, I'm using Mod Podge, or I'm using, you know, Pentart's sealer, decoupage, you know, varnish and glue to put down, it is okay to do that. Just make sure you dry it well before we put down component number 1. All right, and then you don't want to use that same brush. So that one, you know, we're done with that one now. Let me grab the Angel Eyes here. I always know right where it is. So this is from Paint Couture. And if you are interested in any products from Paint Couture, it does, Kim. You can just go to my Linktree, !Linktree, LINKTREE, and or my all paint products is pinned at the top of my page. Thank you, Kim. He's actually at the cardiologist. Oh, hon, sending little prayers for that little fella. I hope everything's okay too. So it is just the most soft and beautiful little angel eyes ever. Hey, sweet Cheryl from Michigan. How are you, dear? Thank you, sweet April. Angel Eyes is the color. So pretty. I love it. Hey, Cindy. Nice to see you, hon. Of course, anybody who has their own business page, please feel free to come in under your page name. What surface is that? So sweet Michelle, hi Lucille. I actually picked this up from a thrift store. It was brand spanking new. On saving your videos that I have on Facebook. Okay, sweet Trina. I'm sorry I missed a few of you coming in. Thank you so much for joining me. And it was brand new, like with the plastic around it. It had some wording on there. It was a super dark, like blackish brown, I will say. Hey, sweet Karen Jean. I literally was going to put the same rice paper on a book box. It isn't. It's just a really fun, like chunky sign. I don't know if it said where it came from at all. It said whine a little on the front of it. Doesn't say where it came from. I will paint the back of this also. Thank you. Isn't that so pretty? Hi, beautiful Robbie. And so I just primed over it because I was like, you know what? I can do something on this, right? And I used my Premium 2-in-1 primer. Hold on one second, guys. Premium Plus 2-in-1 primer from Paint Couture. Hey, sweet Anne. That's okay, sweet Karen, hon. I appreciate you trying. I put 2 coats of that on. And then I gave it a coat of an ivory chalk paint. Sue, it is Sue. I was trying to think of it that whole time. Hey, Courtney. Hi, Michelle. You are so welcome, Michelle. No problem. All right, set that aside. Vintage designs and a dash of sass and savvy is Sue. So let's try this a little bit. So I just pulled several different colors. This one, believe it or not, guys, is a little bit hard for me to match up the colors. There's what I see as being like kind of a dark gray, but also blends then into like a tan and a little bit brown, a little bit of peach. There's kind of some bronze, you know. So I wanted to try it and do this with you so that you can see maybe what I pulled is not going to be what I love and how I kind of go about correcting it. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Nancy. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Because sometimes I just don't pick the right ones. If it is not like a definite color that I have, thank you, Suzanne, then I struggle a little bit too. So don't be scared. And just pull what you think might work. You can always make it work. And because it's such a small area, for example, on the sides where we do these little trim pieces, we don't even have to do there because that's going to cover it. I'm so sorry, Sue. Sometimes names just slip my mind. Other days I'm on the ball. You know, I know them all. So we are going to do our little blending first before we add our component one of the fine line crackle. I will tell you this about the fine line crackle. Pentart kind of designed that system to work without using your heat tool. Hi, Mary Jane. Thank you so much for the sprinkle. Oh, good, Trina. Thank you, hun. Did you get your save the date, darling? But it also works when you use your heat tool and or a mixture of heat and cool air from a fan. So I will show you what I do. I will tell you what I do if I'm not on the live, so you can refer back to this video. It'll be pushed over onto my YouTube channel, which if you haven't subscribed, I do have the link in the description of my live today. So things that I think are, you know, lives or videos that we can all benefit from and refer back to, I'll be putting those over to YouTube, but I'm not going to stress about trying to get all of them over there. It's going to be perfectly okay. Thank you, Joanne, for the sprinkle. I appreciate it. So if you're doing this and you decide, I want to use a little heat tool, I think that's the way I want to go, thank you, Suhan. It's okay to do so. Just remember to always keep your heat tool moving and don't go too close and keep it on one area for too long because you can kind of scorch your projects, you know, your product. His cheeks, I could just eat him up. Oh, Trina, I can't wait to see pictures. Love it. Okay. And then what I do is I use, you know, you'll find what works for you, but I use some varying different size brushes. These are the Wet n Wild brushes. This is a small one, this is a medium, and then they have a large one as well. Sometimes you see them at the Dollar Tree in the makeup aisle. Other times you can get them on Walmart. You can get these on Amazon. It's the Wet n Wild brand. I just like the length of the bristles and the feel of them. It works really good for blending. Then, thank you, Sweet Debbie. I loved your project today, hun. I'm gonna put some gloves on because my hands are still in horrible, dry Wisconsin shape. Sweet Kim, I'm using that stuff every single day, probably 3 times a day. So far, I'm not noticing a difference. I do on my feet though, so that's happy. And I will keep on doing it. Okay, so kind of to start, I usually like to go with, say, my darkest color first. And I pull out these little pieces of plastic. They were awesome, Debbie. Just to kind of put my paint onto and see what we can come up with. So this is just a timeless gray, it's called. And it's not going to be as dark as what I want it. So, do I have the other one pulled here? Hold on momentarily. A really good color that I find I go to often for blending is this graphite metallic acrylic from Pentart. So not, you know, black, black, but definitely darker. And sometimes we need that. Pardon me, even if we add a little bit of something, something to it to make it work with our background, that works. So let's do a little bit of that first. It always makes me a little bit nervous, but just pick up a little bit of paint and then kind of offload some of it on your little plastic piece. Actually, it looks like, there we go. And up over here is where I'm gonna start because it's kind of dark right there. It can be a little intimidating using such a dark color, but we can always add something to it. So that's kind of my plan. And I go right to the edge of where my rice paper starts, that little feathered edge, and then just a little bit onto it as well. Then as your brush is kind of running out of paint, I'm like tapping it and kind of pulling it away from me at the same time, if that makes sense. Just so that it's getting a little bit lighter. And I'm only gonna do that-ish where I see that darker color. Well, hello, Laura from Florida. Welcome into you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope I'm not missing anything, guys. If you came in and I missed you, my apologies. Thank you for being here. All right, so then kind of turn this. I think I might do some kind of stencil work on the side here, on the sides and the top. You know, something that kind of goes with maybe the back of the chair. And oftentimes I pick up stencils from Amazon. I have found lately that even Walmart has some pretty decent ones. Of course, you can find lots of beautiful stencils on TH Decor, big and small. Hey, Regine, nice to see you, darling. Backwoods Crafting with Alicia, hello and welcome. Hi, my beautiful Carly. Hey, Stephanie, darling, nice to see you guys. Okay, so ish, you know, down here there really isn't too much dark, but I kind of want it to work all around, so I'm gonna put a little bit anyway, but I'm not gonna go like right up to the rice paper there. And you really don't need a lot of paint. If you use one of these little like plastic pieces that your rice papers come in, or things that you order, you know, come in that little plastic, I save those and I just cut them up into little squares. That way, when you are kind of putting your paint down, you can go back to it and pick up the rest of the paint. Hi, Eileen, nice to see you, dear. From snowy PA, ugh, I'm so sorry. We got some snow yesterday, but nothing bad at all. Versus using a paper towel, if you're putting your paint down in your paper towel, it's gonna soak up in there right away and then it's pretty well gone, right? You look every time. I do too, Denise. And all of a sudden, like the last couple times, I was like, these are new. I've never seen these before. Hi, sweet April. Sweet darling Carly, this is a beautiful rice paper we put down on this little thrifted, it was a sign that was about wine, and it was brand spanking new. All the plastic was around it. I think I got it for $2.99, I want to say. So I just primed it, covered it up. It was a super dark color. And painted an ivory chalk paint underneath there. We decoupaged down this pretty paper. We're just gonna do a little bit of blending. We don't have to worry about the sides because those are gonna be covered up. No snow by you, Donna, that's good. I'm ready for spring, so ready. You keep checking, Denise, because I gotta say that I think Walmart's really kind of stepped up their game, even in their clothing and some of that kind of stuff, their home decor, whatnot. They seem to have a lot more options. So I'm putting a little bit of this timeless gray down here, but I'm also letting it go into that graphite acrylic that I had left, just to give me a little bit of a different color. And then I'm just gonna try it down here. I kind of like it. So this, think of the darker color as just kind of your base. So if you're looking at your rice paper, hi, my beautiful Riri Hun. The paper, thank you, Carly. I've had this one in my stash for so long and never really knew what to do with it. I believe it's a LeBlanc paper. After the live, I will go out to TH Decor and take a peek, see, and if it is, you're finally getting some rain in California. It has some beautiful spring flowers. Isn't that amazing, Kim? It makes me so happy when I go to stores and I see those things coming out, like swimsuits are already out, guys. Hi, my sweet Kimberly, darling, how are you? Aw, sweet Shauna, I'm so happy to have you, hun. So take a look at your rice paper and like look past the initial colors that you see. That sounds crazy, I know it. And really try to pick out some of the colors that you may not see right away until you really give it a good look. Like this to you might be like, Kel, that is so not right. It doesn't match at all. But when I look kind of deep beyond the, you know, the initial look, like if you look back in here, you see that super dark, kind of grayish brown. It was a mess. Uh-oh, what did I miss? We went to a different Walmart in Idaho yesterday. Last time, it was a mess. Oh no. Yes, swimsuits. Like Target and all of them have them out, you know, which makes me happy. But seriously, like we still could have a lot of, you know, a lot of winter left yet. So whatever color it is that you kind of see, pick that and then maybe a shade darker of that color and a shade lighter. So up here, we really don't have this gray. We have that a little bit more of like an antique-y brown. But I like to add some of it kind of all around so that it kind of all works together in the end. You know what I'm saying? Thanks, April. And what I mean by that is not that I have just one spot of this graphite and maybe one spot down here. I don't do a good job of kind of blending or softening those edges, you know? And then it kind of looks pieced on, if that makes sense. I think we are, sweet Carly. Yes, I do think we are. I haven't been in the swimsuit 20 years. Just saying. I love the water. I mean, I'm not you have some snow, sweet April. I'm not a fantastic swimmer, but I do love to go snorkeling with Greg. It is a lot of fun. The only time that I get a little bit nervous is, I mean, I wear a vest, you know, that I blow up with air like right beside me. It's pretty cool. It has this little tube there and I puff it up as much or as little as I want. Plus, Greg is an amazing swimmer. Hi, Diane. Nice to see you, sweetie. Thank you guys so much for the hearts. I appreciate them. We're going to come into this decor metal mat in chocolate. It's a little bit metallic. Thank you, Nancy. I love to share with you what I know. So when we go over to Sea Glass Island, when we are in Aruba, that has some current to it. And it's also a little bit cloudy, so you can't really see very good under there. And I'm just going to gently now go over this while I'm talking all things Aruba, because that gets me so happy and excited. We love it there so much. And I am not a flyer, guys. You know that I hate it. But I don't hate it so much that I will not keep getting back on that plane to go there. My husband is in Missouri this week taking care of his mom. Oh, been 6 weeks. Sweet Kimberly, how is your mom? Hi, TT, darling. And so when we go to Sea Glass Island and we swim across, and you have that little bit of a current pulling you, even with, you know, a little vest on and everything, I know I'm perfectly safe. We've done it several times, but I freak out a little bit. So if I let myself get in my own head, like last year, or it was actually the beginning of this year, I suppose, then I just come up and I float over on my back because then I feel a lot more comfortable. So I'm putting this right over kind of that graphite and that gray. And you're going to see that when all is said and done with the crackle and the sealing and all that good stuff, it's going to be beautiful, even if you think that blending isn't 100%. April, in October this year. How exciting. I can't wait. All right, same thing over here. And then I might come back in this little area and do a little bit more gray over that graphite. Hi, Maria. Thank you so much, hon. Let's go down here. This to me is a little bit more like the finish on this little table is a little bit bronzy colored. So I pulled out this beautiful metallic bronze from Pentart. Alicia, oh, that'll be my 4th time there. It is just gorgeous. The bottom drops off and it gets murky. Yes, Denise, yes. And it's kind of a mind thing too. Also wide brim hat, plus I only swim in our pool, right? That sounds great. I got myself a pretty fun hat for the next time that we go. Because why not do as they do, right? Hi, my beautiful Jody, how are you? So good to have you as I'm holding up this paint for 100 years. Kelly, did you buy your wedding dress yet? I did, Michelle, I did. Okay, you see what I'm saying? She wants to come back to California. Oh, is your sister, does she live there? October is your birthday, TT? It is October 18th. And so let's go in with a little bit of this bronze. And I gotta tell you guys, sometimes even my paints go bad. Like, I know it's crazy to think that paints have a shelf life, but I truly think they do. I can tell when mine gets super thick and kind of chunky. You can save them usually just by adding a little bit of water at a time and then kind of stirring it up really good. Oh, Denise, right? It freaks me out. It definitely freaks me out. And if your, if your snorkel gear isn't properly taken care of and you don't see clearly through it, which Greg always takes real good care of mine, then it freaks me out too because, that portion right here isn't 100% clear, or maybe you don't have a good fit and a little bit of water comes in, then I start freaking out too. Even though I know all I got to do is pop up. I'm very, very shallow below that surface. Moved there 5 months ago. I don't think she isn't too happy either. Oh, your paints go bad too. Yes, I think so too. And if that happens, you can try to save it, which I definitely do. Like, this bronze is really thick, so I'll have to go back in and try my best to revive a little bit of that. But yeah, I know I can just pop right up and I'm going to float, But the point of it is when you're going snorkeling that you don't do that. You're supposed to stay down there and, just keep on going. When we go super early in the morning, which I do like, we're going to do the size anyway. Why not? Just to kind of show you what I would do. And there's not as many people. Okay, sweet Kim. But we have to go out a lot farther if you want to try to see the sea turtles. They come in, so far because they feed off the seagrass and such. That part also freaks me out just a little bit. But each time that we've done it, I just hold on to Greg. Even if it's just kind of having my, my hand on his back or something like that makes me feel safe. And when I've seen those turtles, it made it all worth it, let me tell you. What a sight to see in the Caribbean Sea. How about that? It rhymed and everything. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my gray here, my timeless gray. So I pull a mixture of whatever I kind of have on hand, be it acrylic, apple barrel, or folk art, or whatever you have that works. So this is much better. And it's funny to me because you haven't really seen me wash my brush, right? So sometimes picking up a color that I already used, but not washing my brush and having them kind of mixed together might give me exactly what I need. And that's what happened right there. So we're getting close to this part being good. let's say, oh yeah, this is much better. Let's say that you put down a color and you think to yourself, my God, that is not at all what I was looking for. Oh, Alicia, same. I am obsessed with them. They are so beautiful, especially the little babies. Oh my God, it's so fun to see them. So you put down your color and you think, I hate that. I do not like that at all. Then stop right away. No big deal. Just dry it really good. Okay, sweet Kim. How dare your work need something while you're watching a live, right? Dry it really good and then try another color. And sometimes I have these little happy accidents, you know. I'll put a color down and I absolutely hate it, but then I pick something else and I start going over it and mixing with the color that I just had down. Thank you, Joanne. All of a sudden I'll say, well, I kind of like that. So I'll go back and purposely add the color I didn't like, you know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be perfect, especially when you are kind of going to fine line over it. Once we add those cracks and such, it's going to help everything blend together. You can also come in if you wanted to and try to do something to continue on the look of what's going on your rice paper. Thank you, Michelle. So maybe some kind of a stencil down here where you do it a little bit imperfect and you don't fill in every little stencil. Like the flooring down here looks like tile, but you can tell that it's kind of aged. Right, Kim? Son of a gun. Come on. So we could kind of try to mimic that if you weren't going to fine line this. But for the most part, it's coming together pretty good. The big areas that I try to make sure I have fairly good might be the corners of the rice paper there, so that I'm trying to hide them a little bit and giving the illusion that this paper all looked like this from top to bottom, side to side. So touch the rice paper too. You can wait a little bit until you have more of a majority of your paint off and then come back in with what's left. You can do little circular motions here, and that will help kind of blend it out with what's left on your brush as well. So we're going to stop there. We don't have to go crazy. There's also other colors. If you wanted to kind of pull some of those out, you definitely could. That was a huge bird that went in front of my window. I'm not sure what it was. So now by doing that little circular motion, it's really softening all of the paint that we put down. And since we didn't use a lot of paint, it's drying quite a bit faster also. So fun. But you see there's like some pretty little soft peach colors, some rosy pinks, there's like sagey greens. You can play on some of those as well. 751 days, thank you so much. I appreciate anyone who is typing in follow age. That will tell you how long you've been following. Oh, Diane, I'm so glad, hon. I am so glad to hear that. It can be a little intimidating, and sometimes I still struggle, you know, with what color should I be picking here. And when I do, like in these situations, you got to just go for it, right? It's just paint. You can always dry it and go over it. Okay. So I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to spend so much time on that, but I wanted you to see something from start to finish, right? 582 days. Thank you so much. 395. Yeah. Perfectly fine just the way this is. And that's kind of what I mean by having your little plastic piece there. You put a little paint, you know, offload it, but you can come back and still use this. And it's not going to soak into your paper towel. From my view, it looks like the floor and the ceiling. Yes, that's exactly right. Let's dry this now a little bit. It is just like I want to sit here and read a book, you know? Hi, my friend. Andrew was calling the cracker stupid and didn't know. Aw, right? I know about sweet Andrew. 500 days on the dot. How fun is that? Thank you, Courtney. 650. I love that. No fair, I work too much. 377 days. Thank you guys all so very much. And then I gotta tell ya, metallics work really well for me for blending. So if you're kind of new to it, 57 days, thank you guys, I appreciate it. Just pull nothing but metallics, be it from Walmart or, you know, your Michaels, your Hobby Lobby, wherever you can find them the most reasonable. That's what I do. And maybe try sticking with 2 to 3 colors, you know what I mean? And start with your blending with metallics. 496 days, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Ouch. Must have been having a really bad day. All right, Andrew. And so I just like these kind of more muted colors on this particular one, but you do whatever you like the best. And you know what? If you don't want to do any of this blending, but you have a rice paper that is going to be a little bit short on your surface, whatever you're, you know, deciding to use, come in and add some castings. 668 days. So for example, here's a really thick one that I did out of Formflex, which would cover nicely on the top of this, would cover that whole area. So you wouldn't have to do any blending whatsoever. 384 days, thank you guys. And this one also came from, let's see here, from this, let's see, this Borders mold right here. You have a bunch of metallics, they work fantastic. So this is a LeBlanc mold, Borders. I use this one often. I think it's always nice to have a couple border, you know, molds. All right, so we just want to make sure this is nice and dry before we start our step 1. I want to show you now. Here is the Formflex that I took out at the beginning of the live. I mean, it's definitely flexible, but super, super delicate. 795 days. So to me, it is just too soft, too fresh to do any painting. So you can kind of see the difference. I mean, it's kind of falling on its own, right? Versus the ones I've let sit for a couple days. It's not falling. I can manipulate it still. It's nice and flexible. At least 12 to 24 hours, in my opinion. And then if you're not going to use it right away, just put it in a sealed container with a lid on it in between pieces of parchment paper. So if I wouldn't use these, and I mean, these have been sitting out for a couple days, they're still super flexible and amazing. You put them around curved surfaces, whatever you want to do with it, right? Thank you, Michelle. Then I just put them away, store them with a lid on them, and they're fantastic. But now I feel more comfortable painting on them because they've sat. But I do know people who do paint on them right away. It's just not my preference. Okay, so let's do our step number 1 here on Fine Line Crackle from Pentart. Move this over a little bit. You need a clean and dry brush. So I always make sure mine is clean and dry. Oh, that's happy. What a great gift. I'm just testing it out because sometimes maybe I washed it this morning, you know, early this morning, and it's like almost dry, but I can feel a little wetness in there. I'm not going to take a chance and use it. So this is the substance that is kind of like an Elmer's glue. Okay. And you're just going to put on the you know, a nice layer of it. Try not to go back and forth like so. I do a little bit and I don't have any issue. And if it looks like it's super thick in that area, then I just spread it out to like the edge of the piece, and I'm just going in one direction, right? And I don't fill my whole brush with it, if that makes any sense at all. That's typically when I'll get a big glob of it, you know, that falls off of it or what have you. So it's definitely something that we have to have a little more patience with, but it is worth it in the end, I'll tell you. And by the time I kind of get down to the middle, this is already going to start drying. I mean, basically, as soon as we're putting it on and the air hits it, it's starting to dry. So if you look back up there and are like, oh my God, I missed a spot, don't touch it. Don't touch it, because it's probably been covered, but it's just drying. Or you get down to the very bottom and you're looking at it, you know, in the light, and you think, I see a spot that I missed completely. I try not to go back and add to it. That is usually then where I'll have a spot that just doesn't have as much crackle, you know, and that's okay, because not everything crackles, you know, 100% at the same time. So there I went a little back and forth, just a little. And where I'm, you know, starting here and I left off right there, then I just do like light little strokes to kind of make sure I have a good amount, I guess I'll say, from where I left off each time. Does that make any sense at all? And when you notice that your brush is running out of product, you'll feel what I call a drag on it, where it's going to kind of skid down a little bit, and you're going to see that brush stroke in there. That's when you know it's time to add a little more product. And it might seem like I'm putting it on too thick, but it really isn't. So if it's kind of thick right there, then I just gently go down with my brush and pull some of it down. Like right there, I have a big, you know, amount. Flip my brush over, use what's on the bottom. I just felt that little drag. I'm not seeing any comments, guys. Somebody put one in there. Let me know they're still working. And just put a little bit more on my brush. Use what's on the back side of it before I load up a little bit more, but I'm barely filling up, you know, or picking up the bottom third of my brush maybe. So I don't put the product on the whole brush. Gosh, guys, I hope comments are working. Why do they do that to me, you know? Make me talk to myself. I'm not seeing, there it is. Hi, Carol. Thank you so much. You never know from day to day what's going to happen with the Book of Face, right? And I have been slowly uploading some videos to YouTube, but I'll tell you guys, I am not stressed out at all. Michelle, yes, I do live in Wisconsin, hon. Hi, Kelby. Thank you, Carly girl. What's, you know, what I put out there, I put out there. If there's some missing that get, you know, deleted, that's fine. I can always do them again. It's what I love, so I don't mind it at all. Sweet Shauna is still here. What's your weather like, darling? In Tennessee. So the top area here, it's already starting to dry, and I can see that it is because that white is going to completely disappear. So if you want to, I'm going to tell you both ways. You're going to see it happen today on the live with the heat so that we can see it all together. But if you were doing this yourself, you could definitely just set this in front of a fan, put on your step one like this, and then set your project in front of a fan and let that cool air dry your step one completely. We just have a very little bit, Michelle. We got a little bit yesterday, or was that, yeah, I think that was yesterday or the day before, but not much at all, and there's nothing on the trees. Yes, I think so too, April. You got 30 days to watch it, but on YouTube, they'll be there. So the ones that I think are beneficial, like like this one, I'll put over there. And I'm just kind of going through some of those videos and uploading them if I think they're ones that people would like to see again. So, right, you would put your component one on here. You get a little, there's no better way to say it, what it is, like a little glue booger. Hi, Teresa, nice to have you. I just kind of gently pull that out, because I don't want that on my project, and you know, get it off on a little piece of paper or what have you. So you would set it in front of your fan until you see this white completely disappear. Here's another one. And then I always test it with the back of my hand, because my hands are unfortunately sweaty, right? To make sure it is dry all over. Are you crackling after you decoupage? Yes, Teresa dear. So we put down this beautiful rice paper, and then we did just a little bit of blending where the rice paper was short. This is a little thrifted sign that I picked up, and I just primed over it because it had some dark writing on it, and then painted it in ivory chalk paint, and then we decoupaged down our rice paper. We did a little bit of blending on the top and the bottom, a little bit on the sides. Now we're putting down component 1 of the fine line crackle system from Pentart. Okay, so you would have it in front of your fan, you check it, it's nice and dry. Now you come back with a second clean and dry brush, and it is more important there than ever that your brush is not wet, not damp, anything like that. Absolutely, Teresa. That's my favorite way to do it. But you don't have to do it over rice paper. You can do it on, you know, a blank surface, a bottle, you know, that's a colored bottle. We've done some of those beautiful like cobalt blue ones. You don't have to paint on it. You don't have to rice paper on it. But sweet Teresa, if you want to and then crackle, you're more than welcome to. All right, so now you kind of see what this looks like. It's kind of getting blotchy all over because it's starting to dry. So if you do put it in front of a fan and it's completely dry, that clean dry brush for the second step, which is component 2 here, this kind of amber honey color, we'll say. And that's also pretty thick and it stays kind of glossy. So when you put it on and you set it back in front of your fan or you let it dry on its own, it stays pretty shiny. So the first couple times that I did it, I was like, it's still not dry, you know? Just give it a check with like the back of your hand. It might be drying more than what you think. Thank you for teaching. My absolute pleasure, sweetheart. I'm so happy to have you. Hi, Sherry from grocery shopping. I did that the other day, not my favorite at all. And I say double ugh to you as well. I don't like it a bit. All right, so this brush I'm done with now. I'm not going to use it again on that second step. These products are very gooey, ooey gooey, right? And they're kind of hard to get out of your brushes. So, sweet Sherry, I do have Telegram, hon. If you just type in your comments, !notify, all lowercase, no spaces, you're going to get back a little link right there in your comments. Make sure you have the Telegram app downloaded. Hi, Pamela. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Thank you for sharing some of it with me. I appreciate that. Once you have the Telegram app downloaded, you do !notify. You get back that little link, you click on it, it's going to take you right over to my Telegram channel, and then somewhere towards the bottom, it's going to say join. Just click on there, and you're good to go. So what I do is I don't put this in the water that I have sitting next to me because my water is cold. And as soon as the water that's cold hits this, it's just going to get like stiff and hard as a rock. I will just either leave it set or put it in a little baby wipe until I'm ready to wash it. Then I hit it with hot water right away, either a little Murphy's oil soap, a little Dawn power spray, or you can get this little scrubby soap. You can actually find this on Amazon, on Etsy, and you can get this from All Paint Products as well. Absolutely, Kim. And it is fantastic. It smells really good. It's kind of citrus, like essential oil based. I know, right, Alicia? Ugh, I agree 100%. But it has that little scrubby. So you just get this wet with some hot water, get your brush wet with super hot water, just kind of go back and forth on that scrubby part, and it takes it off beautifully, and you can save your brushes. I find it to be even stickier with the second component, so I definitely recommend it. And water with the pink stuff, liquid, and have no problem cleaning them. I'll have to try that again. It's been a while since I've used it. Also, alcohol sometimes helps me as well. Hi, my beautiful Dawana. Nice to see you. You love the scrubby? Good. You do have Telegram. Okay, Sherry, if you need any help or you have an issue finding it or, you know, getting to it, you can always send me a message and I will send you the direct link to my Telegram. Pamela, are you doing anything special today on your birthday? Hi, sweet Robin. It is the bomb diggity. I agree. And I think on my all paint products link is where I have found it to be the most inexpensive. You have yours delivered. I should really start that. Okay, now let's say you're a person who says, I don't want to wait for my fan. I want to get this crackle going right away. You can use your heat tool. It will work. You just have to kind of follow some things as you're going along. So keep your heat tool moving. Always keep going, up and down. Don't hold it too close and keep it on there for too long at one time. Hi, Jill. Because you can scorch your product. Hot water melts the glue on your brushes. Yes, it sure does. And you can also use those little combs we've talked about before, like the flea combs that have those fine little teeth. Once you get, that glue kind of worked loose with that little comb, that's how I do it. You like that? Because you can take that little comb and start at this portion and pull it through your bristles, and you can work all of that out. So those work really good too. I think I got my set on Amazon, and you get like maybe 5 of them in there, different kinds. My daughter does a lot of that grocery pickup. I really should do that too. They weren't showing. I've been watching. Oh, I'm sorry, sweet Donna Sue, before they're gone, right? I will be putting some of them onto YouTube, my darling. Not doing anything. Came down with the flu. Oh, Pamela, hon, I'm so sorry. It is going around, isn't it? I can't wait for flu season to be over. All right, so just, keep on moving. It might take a little bit, right? Because we have to really dry this well before we put on that second step. I hope you feel better soon, Pamela, dear. And then maybe you can celebrate your birthday then and at least have a little cake or something, right? I love cake and sweets and all the things. So then on the Form Flex pieces, I think I'm going to paint those with some super soft kind of pearly colors. For example, I have this peach pearl. This is an acrylic paint from Pentart. Oh, Teresa, me too. Very soft, very pretty, and it definitely goes, with what's in there. I have a little bit of this rosebud from Paint Couture. Also so pretty. This is a Luxe Metallic. Your son is home with the flu, poor guy. I hope he feels better soon. And also, like, perfect match to those. And then I even pulled this copper Luxe Metallic, also Paint Couture. And maybe we want to use that on a few, because it definitely goes. So these 3, like, so pretty. But I also pulled this Oyster Pearl. I don't know if any of you have used this one from Paint Couture, but maybe you don't have those type of colors, but you have more of a matte or a darker coral or that rosy color. You could paint them with that color and then put Oyster Pearl over the top, which will soften them beautifully. It's a favorite, just to kind of play around a little bit. Ugh, I forget how old your son is, Carly, hon. 14, 13? I want to say something like that. So you can see it's taking a bit, right? And maybe you think, I'm trying this, I'm gonna heat it a little bit, and then I'm gonna set it in front of the fan to do the rest of the drying. That's usually what I do. I give it a head start with my heat tool, and then I set it in front of my fan. That is my sweet Giselle from Your Craft Cottage. Anybody who has a page name, come on in under your page if you are comfortable. That way, if others aren't following you or aware of you, they can check you out too, right? You're always welcome to do that. And it seems like it takes a while, and it kind of does. But to me, it is so, so worth it. You can't go wrong. So I got to show you guys this. We're going to do it together in the near future. He's 14. I was close. Okay. He has missed school all week. Ugh. Is he still running a fever, Carly, or is that gone? I watched a replay recently of Vasilis, who is from Greece. Hi, Annette. I'm sure many of you have heard other crafters talk about him, and he does this technique to work with burlap. Have any of you seen that? So I watched Robin do something similar to this. Thank you, Annette. I also watched Lynn from Ellen J. Goods had Vasilis on, so I watched the replay just to see if I could maybe try to recreate this. And I had to substitute a couple of products, so I didn't get the exact effect, but I still had super fun doing it, and I think it turned out okay. He feels better. My son is 10, he has strep again. Ugh, so sorry, Anna. Remember those days when he was young? Yes. So I happen to have some, like a old piece of burlap that I used to put around something for Christmas at the bottom of it. I cut a piece off of it, and this is kind of what I came up with. I think it actually goes that way. So, I mean, it turned out, but he actually did some crackle on his, which I did. But again, I had to substitute a couple things, and I didn't get the crackle where I could kind of have some of it crackle off of this. Hey, Kiki, darling, how are ya? But nonetheless, I think it is super pretty, and we're gonna try it together in the very near future, because why not, right? Just to have some fun. So then you could frame this, you could add resin castings on it, you can decoupage over it. It was just super fun and exciting to kind of see something and try something a little bit different. Cool, right? On a little piece of burlap. Okay, you guys are talking to each other. We're getting there, guys, so it's almost gone. And I definitely could set this in front of my fan and we could kind of work on the other castings. Thank you, Pamela. For my first time doing it, not bad. Hey, sweet Jamie, you got me live, hon. So nice to have you. I just want to do it so that you can see it from start to finish in case you need to reference back, and I will save this video and upload it to my YouTube channel. My link to YouTube is in the description of my live today. I think it's okay, and I just kind of used the chalky paint Pentart colors that I had. Not my first choices, so I'm going to try it again with you guys. All right, so we want all that white to be gone. Then we're gonna come in with component number 2, our clean dry brush. For the record, these do not stink nasty. Thank you, Annette. There is no smell at all to component number 1. Number 2 to me smells like butterscotch actually, but not chemically, not strong, anything like that. And the reason we have to use the solvent-based sealer when we are done after it's completely dry, we've put our wax paste in or our pigment powders, we have our crackle looking just like we want it. You seal with a solvent-based because that is gonna stop the chemical process that's happening between the two components, and then it's gonna protect your crackle. So that's why it has to be solvent-based, excuse me. You put decoupage to print. So on that one I didn't, Teresa. That is just all paints and stenciling, but you could decoupage on fabric, absolutely. Hi, Natalie Marie, nice to see you. I didn't, I just kind of wanted to do the stencil portion that Vasilis did, and I mean, I really had some fun doing it, but it didn't do exactly what he said because I didn't have all the right products. Pentart chalk paints when put on in a thickish layer when they are force dried. It's cool effect as it flakes off when you tap the surface. Okay, let me read that again, sweet Jill. And Jill, am I pronouncing your name right, hon? Is it Jill? The Pentart chalk paints when put on in a thickish layer crackle when they are force dried. It's cool effect as it flakes off when you tap the surface. Okay, so it didn't do that for me, and I used a combination of transparent wax and the one component crackle, and I think I probably should have just done one or the other. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna try it again. And the initial product that he used was gesso, and I didn't have that. I used something else in its place. So I have since now ordered some gesso, just a little bottle of it so I can try it. And we'll see what we can come up with. And then you could frame that. You could, save a little spot where you don't do any stenciling and leave it more of a light background. So you could decoupage right onto it and then put a beautiful resin casting or something. I think would be super pretty too. And I'm all about learning, right? All right, I think we're getting close, guys. You're probably like, Kel, this is ridiculous. I want to do something else. I did not come on here to see you dry a piece of rice paper, but it is going to be worth it. So I see just like a few spots where I have just a little bit of that white left. Okay, good, Jill. Thank you. Yeah, so maybe I should have used one or the other and not both. But I definitely wanted to try it. And oftentimes, when I just need a little quiet and a little peace, I come down here and do a little crafting, right? Okay. And I wrote down all the instructions as I was watching so I could go back and refer to them. And I kind of wanted to try it first to see what would happen. I was so excited to try it. All right. So it's feeling pretty good, and we just have this one, this one little spot. I missed where you got the paper. Sweet Carol, I think this one came from La Blanche, which is on my TH Decor link, !THDECOR. You type that in your comments, you will get back the link. I'm gonna check after the live to be sure. I have had this one for quite some time, and it did not have the name of who did the rice paper on the bottom. And most times when it doesn't have that, I find it to be a La Blanche paper. But I will definitely check for sure. Okay, so I have a nice clean dry brush out for my second portion here, my second component. I find like a nice soft brush just works the best for me, so nothing too stiff. And if you're doing a glass bottle, let's say, and you've decoupaged on there or you've painted and now you put your step one on there, it is a great way of learning. Sometimes I think you just have to play around and see what happens, And maybe if you don't like the, final outcome, you try something different the next time, right? Keep track of what you did and see what you can change to make it different, I've never done anything like that before, so it was really fun. Okay, so if you're working on glass and you're using your heat tool, just be careful. It is glass. Oftentimes it's not a tempered glass, meaning it won't crack on you or break on you from too much heat. So I might do it in, it looks like La Blanche. I thought so too, Sweet Joe. I'm gonna see if it's still available. I know they had it in a smaller size too, where you got 2 on one full sheet. Excuse me. Because I have that one left also, like it would be like almost a 5x7, I would say. So then on a glass bottle, I might dry, put it in front of my fan, dry, put it in front of my fan, just because I want to be careful on the glass. When you think it's dry and you're pretty good, I let it kind of, come back to temperature a little bit because we have been putting heat on it for so long. I put on the canvas, 2 coats, you lightly sand it, it grabs the acrylic paint and gives you a better surface. Oh, that's really good to know, Annette. I have never used it before. Hi, sweet Helen. How are you, hon? Fake it till you make it, girl. Right? And either way, I learned some super cool things along the way, So I love to share, and if there's a better way and you know of it and want to tell me about it, I am open to it, So I just like to give it a minute. We put so much heat on it. Let's just give it a rest for a little bit before we come back in with this one. Now this one is also like very, very sticky. To me, it smells like a butterscotch candy, which is a favorite from when I was little. How did we not... They were so sharp, when you sucked on that candy for a while and like you get the splinters off of a butterscotch. Do you know what I'm saying? With no instructions, forces you to play. Don't ask me how. I know, right? So I only ordered one of the new products that are from Pentart. Gosh, I don't even remember which one I ordered. It might have been the one of the powders. to kind of, like make your piece look old and aged. I've been using just Mod Podge. Is that okay? To put down your papers, Teresa, your napkin or your rice paper. All right, this feels a lot better. I'm so glad to have you, Helen. How are you doing? Now, if you get a little of a tacky feeling when you kind of test it out, then it's not quite ready. If you don't want to apply more heat, leave it sit on its own or stick it back in front of your fan, because variations in temperature will also help your crackle. So we just did all this heat, right? We let it come down to more like room temperature. Me too, Kim. I have some upstairs as we speak. And then when you're putting on this second component, it is actually, it's step 2 that is crackling step 1. Oh my God, Denise, I haven't thought about those in a long time. I like those too. Lifesavers in general, red is my favorite. So you're not cracking your rice paper. You're not cracking the paint that you put down. You're not cracking the glass or the wood surface. The two components are cracking each other. Thank you, Jill. I really appreciate that so much. You are fantastic. Definitely can come in if you have your page name and you want to, please do, hon. So step 2 crackles step 1. So once we apply this and do heat or your fan or a combination of both, because the cool and the hot will encourage more cracks also, that is when we want to be just, I guess, super careful about no water products, right? So if you make a mistake and you want to wipe a little bit of this off, yes, I do too. Don't use a baby wipe or anything that has water in it. So now that we're putting this down, this is the part where it can be a little frustrating if you're new to the crackle and you do this and you do all the things and you're like, I'm not seeing the crackle. What am I doing wrong? You might just need to encourage it a little bit. Sometimes you just have to help it out a little. And so what I do is let it sit a little bit. Maybe you're not seeing a ton of the crackle. And sometimes, depending on your background surface, you might not see a lot to your little eye. But once you start adding in your wax paste or your pigment powders, that crackle all of a sudden just comes to life and you're like, oh my gosh, it did work. It's there, right? And if I'm not getting what I want for whatever reason, there's just, I think, a lot of variables that can kind of affect your crackle. I had a loose hair there and I didn't want it to go in my project. Let it sit for a little bit, come back and apply a little bit more heat. Set it in front of your fan, give it 10-15 minutes, come back, apply a little bit more heat. Just keep your heat tool going back and forth, not too close. And I can almost promise you it's going to work. And all of a sudden that crackle is going to show up. You might see it a little bit differently in the light. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, it worked. So more often than not, yes, when I put step number 1 on, I try my hardest not to go back and forth with my brush, because then you're kind of removing some of what you just put down. That's just what I've heard and what I've learned along the way. So I don't fill up my whole brush with the product, just like the lower half of it. Sometimes not even that much. And then this portion being super glossy, sometimes I forget where I left off, and I might have a spot that's not going to have any of this, and I'm going to have a spot missing then on my piece that doesn't have crackle. It's totally okay. Because if you thought about something old and aged, I have so many things I could say about that. Like my face, right? It gets wrinkles. They don't all happen at the same time. Seems like it, but a piece that is aging on its own, or, you know, you have a beautiful piece of something outside in your flower garden, and as it gets rained on and then the sun beats on it, it's going to kind of patina and age itself as it so chooses, right? Same thing with your fine line crackle. That's how I look at it. It's never all going to happen at the same time. So variation is fine. But in this section, that's why I'm not looking up much, because I don't want to lose my place of where I left off. If you look at it with light on it, like my little ring light is shining, I can see where it's still not glossy and where I need to put this second component on. And it is a fairly thick substance, I think. When I'm doing surfaces like a glass bottle, for example, then I just want to be super careful that I'm not putting too much on, because that's when you get some runs or drips in your product. There too, I try not to have it happen. If it happens, it happens. It's perfectly okay. And same thing, as soon as you get this product out and you start using it, it's going to start to dry right away. So if you look back to the top, you might see that happening. That's okay, Joyce Ann, darling. Can you tilt your head to see the shine? Yes, absolutely. Have to go call your son. He sent something in the mail and I'm sitting here watching you and scratching your head. No problem, sweet Denise. Crackle's random regardless. You do want a smooth, even layer. Yes, so true. Did you get your hair cut? I didn't, Donna Sue. Hi, Carla, darling. I just did it a little bit differently today. Trying new things with these bangs. So let's see here. So I didn't get all that info. Do you have to buy something special to get the crackle effect? Yes, sweet Helen. You have to get the Pentart Fine Line Crackle. Thank you, sweet Jill. And you can get that in my link to TH Decor. So you are looking for component 1 and 2. They come in a set. This is the large size, 230 mil. And I believe the smaller, they have a smaller size that's 100 and maybe a 50 as well. That's component 2. You're so welcome. Thank you, sweet Jill. So the 1 and 2 component comes as a set, and then you just have to look for a solvent-based varnish. It says solvent-based there, right in that orange box. So when it comes to crackle, at least from Pentart that I'm aware of, Fine Line is the only one that requires a solvent-based sealer, because we want to stop that cracking from happening and protect our crackle. If you're doing the one component crackle or some of the other, the transparent crackle, something like that, you don't have to use the solvent base. Then you use whatever your little heart desires. Okay. So now we're going to dry this and we're going to encourage it to crack. Remember, it's pretty thick, so it could take a bit, and you might be drying for a little bit, right? You just ordered, Carol. That's so exciting. You let me know if you need any help, okay? I'm happy to try and help. And if you, if you've never done it before, and that goes with anything, I would say, try it on a little test piece. You're welcome, Helen. You have a little piece of wood, a little piece of cardboard, a small little bottle, what have you. Just give it a shot on a small surface so you can kind of, get a feel for it, see what works for you. And that way, if it doesn't, turn out exactly as you want and you have some questions, that's when you let me know. And then you haven't, done a huge project and been sad if it doesn't go your way, right? Because it can be a little bit tricky. It's a little finicky, I will say. So if you're drying for a bit here and you're like, hey, I'm not seeing it, I'm glad you're back, sweet Linda. Waiting again. It's always hurrying and waiting, isn't it? Keep on drying or take a break. Set it in front of your fan. Hi, beautiful Barbara. So nice to have you. Because it is a thicker substance, it's going to take a little bit. But when it starts to crackle, it is so satisfying, guys. And you're going to see it, and you sometimes even hear it. When that happens, I get real excited. It's just super, super satisfying to hear it. Pardon me. And I will try to hold this up here before we put in our wax paste or our pigment powders. 50, 100, and 230, my advice, unless you're doing a lot, get the 100 ml and a crystal clear one. Oh, Jill, thank you so much, hon, for putting that on there. I really appreciate you. The crystal clear one to me is the one that is super, super stinky. The crystal clear varnish. The little one like this does have a bit of an odor. This one doesn't bother me at all. Which rice paper? I believe Sweet Lady Hi Hartman Creations. It is from La Blanche. I will check out my TH Decor link after the live, and I will post it for you there if it's available. You've been working day and night. I'll have to go check them out. Ugh, girl, you are such a busy lady. The golden rule for fine line crackle is no water from step 1 until sealed with the glossy varnish. Yes, I'm so happy that you put that in there. Thank you so much. And I am going to upload this live to YouTube, so you always have a place to go back and say, what did Kelly say about step number 2? Or, you know, things like that. I think it will be beneficial, right? All right, so we're just gonna keep on going here. And I am now seeing some crackle show up, which makes me so happy. But I'll tell you, it may not show up the same all over. So I think for me, when I told myself, hey, that could happen, just go with it, it's okay. I am still confused over why you wouldn't want to go through all the, when you can use glue to help the crackle. Please help you understand. So that crackle is a different look to me, Kim, in my opinion. You could use school glue, you could do the Mod Podge, you could do your regular one component crackle. This crackle is so different. It is so fine, just like the, you know, the product states fine line crackle. And I feel that type of crackle just gives my project a whole different look than, say, using some of the other options. Just in my opinion. If you're looking for a larger crackle and you don't want the fine line, like when I look at this rice paper, I see, you know, aged and delicate, but yet cracked and vintage, you know, and the fine line to me just really complements that. But I'll say there are times as well where I'm like, you know what, I want big old chunky cracks. I might do the one component crackle then, or, you know, do the glue method. That works too. But it looks so different to me. So you can have a piece that is like, maybe you have a rice paper that is very modern, let's just say. Whatever is on it is super modern, and you're like, you know, I like this, but I really kind of want to age it up a little bit. I'm going to crackle it and see what happens. That's when a fine line crackle could be just beautiful. You love what the background is, but you just want to give it, I don't know, like step it up a little bit, you know? It's a very, very different crackle effect to the one with glue. I agree 100%. Just depends on your preference, I think. Yes, I agree, Annette. And there are so many that I never knew existed. I didn't even know there was, you know, something other than like a Mod Podge when I first started out. Only over paint. Yes, that's true, Giselle Hun. I see it's the difference between eggshell cracks or sidewalk cracks. Yes, for sure. Rather than weathered wood. That's perfect, Joe. What a great way to say that. I have a teapot that has been sitting here on my little crafty shelf for some time. And sometimes it is beautiful just to paint it and do a crackle with it. Or, you know, rust it out a little bit or patina it a little bit. And maybe you just want the top and the handle crackle. You know, that could be fun too. Crackle to paint, fine line crackle, step 2 and crackle step 1. Yes, Tina, hello, hon. So sorry if I missed you coming on. So I know this is a bit of a long live, which isn't really new for me, but I really wanted to show you from start to finish. It takes a little more time and patience. I couldn't agree more, Eileen. And sometimes I want like that immediate effect. You know what I mean? Like, give me that crackle right meow. So yes, you could use your heat tool to kind of speed up the process. I think Pentart probably feels if you don't do the heat, that is when you're going to get the best crackle. That's kind of how I believe it was designed. I could be wrong, but you can definitely use heat. You just have to be super careful. Hi, Drusilla. Nice to see you, hon. This is a little thrifted sign, a nice chunky one that was brand new in the package. I love when I find those thrifting. and I didn't like what was on it. It was super dark. It had some words on it that I knew I wouldn't use. Aw, Kim, thank you, hon. I like that too, Annette, hon. So I thought, let's just change this. I primed it. I painted an ivory chalk paint underneath. We laid down this beautiful paper that I believe is from LeBlanc. I'll post it on my page after the live if I can find it, because I've had this one for a little bit. We did a little blending. We added step 1 and step 2 of our fine line crackle. Aw, Giselle, I appreciate you so much, hon. Thank you. Yes, right, Drusilla? Because it's amazing. It is amazing to me what you can do with some primer, you know, to cover this stuff up. This was such a dark color with some like white wording that was super chunky and blocky. I used the Premium Plus 2-in-1 primer from Paint Couture. Put on a coat, let it dry, put a second coat on, let it dry. Then I recommend that you don't use your primer as your light surface underneath your rice paper. Paint over that. So paint over it a neutral color, a white, a cream, something like that. The sides, I'm not sure what color we'll paint them yet. I'm not sure. But I think we might do some stenciling because they're too like chunky and beautiful not to do something on them. You wouldn't have to. You could just paint. You could go around the edges with some wax paste, you know, if you let it dry naturally. I agree. But I have to say that when I do a combination of both, let it dry naturally and a little bit of heat, sometimes my fan the next day even, I swear I get another 30 to 40% crackle on it, to be honest with you. So I think it just kind of depends. Now I see crackle everywhere and it is so pretty. If you see the crackle and you start, you know, putting in your wax paste, your antique paste, your metal pigments, what have you, and you say, you know, I really would like a little bit more, it is okay. Don't seal it. Just wait, come back to it, put it in front of your fan, add a little bit of heat, right? And you will probably get more. And then you just have to repeat the process with your wax paste or what have you. Just remember, you can't put anything into the crackle that is water-based. What will happen if you do? Ask me how I know. I tried when I first started this and I wasn't sure. I tried putting an antiquing gel on it, which has water in it. I didn't know that. And as soon as I hit the crackle with that product, like my finger just kind of stopped and it got kind of gooey and gummed up. Right, Drusilla? And I freaked out. Like I just went through all this work. What was I going to do to get rid of it? Thankfully, I stopped right away and was like, oh boy, I don't think I should have used that. I was able to take a little transparent wax, which you can get at TH Decor. It's clear. And I just put a little bit of that on my finger and kind of like gently work that area. And I was able to save it because I didn't put a whole bunch on at one time. So I learned the hard way. If you're not sure if it's water-based, err on the side of caution and don't use it. Adding the heat will help, yes. Sweet Jill there is an amazing creator, guys. All right, let's see if I can show you, if I can get you to see some of the crackle in the different lights there and add flowers or different pieces. You definitely could, Annette. So, I mean, it's beautiful like it is with nothing in it, but it would be a little bit harder to see. There you go. So then if we come in with these different things, and you can do more than one. You can do some metal pigment and some wax paste, different color wax paste. If you see there's a darker area on your piece and you know that the, let's say, you know, the umber, if we choose to use that, is a little bit too dark. Maybe you won't see it enough there. I know it so was. I was so disappointed, but so happy I could save it. Thank you, Pamela. Then you can use another one. So don't be afraid to use several different colors. Thank you. I'm glad you can see it. So for the sake of trying to keep this looking a little bit more aged, we are going to try out this umber antique paste. It looks a lot darker than it really is in the little pot here. It's so much fun. So it's more like a super dark brown. like that. And it's going to be okay. Don't worry. Now you need a little something to wipe it back once you put it on. So a dry paper towel. I have also learned the hard way. I usually have paper towels lying beside me to wipe my brush off on if I, have it in the water. And I had a piece beside me at one time, not that long ago. And I'm like, oh, that's a nice dry one. Well, I had used it to wipe off a brush, so there was some dampness to it. And as soon as I came in and made my first, wipe on my piece, it stopped me in my tracks. There was wetness there, and that fine line crackle said, I don't think so, girl. So you will know. So just, again, err on the side of caution. Get a dry piece from your roll, or get yourself a little microfiber cloth. Mine is pretty nasty. As you can see, I've used it on wax paste before. You can cut off a little hunk of these. Microfiber, anything that is soft and dry will work fine. Now my sticky little sweaty fingers, if I did this wax paste with my fingers, Fine Line Crackle again would say, hey Keli-Kat, you got some sweaty palms there, girl. Get out of here with that. All right, so then you just start coming in with your little wax paste there. And we're just kind of pushing it down into those cracks. But it's not like I'm really pushing, I'm just kind of going in a circular motion. And I'm going to show you what I'm seeing right here. Now you see those cracks just come to life. And so that umber is not as scary as what you might think. It's darker, but it's kind of that antique look, right? Thank you guys so much. I'm so happy that you're hanging out with me today, spending some of your time. So I will do it in little sections. I've also learned it just depends on what your surface is. Some surfaces, when I try to put my wax paste down, I don't know, it just seems like it's not spreading nicely. It doesn't have a smooth, feel to it. Apply a little bit of heat just to kind of warm up your project, and then try your wax paste. That will help the wax paste move a little bit nicer. Thank you guys. And you might have a much easier time. So up on the top and bottom where it is a little bit darker, we're not going to see this umber very well. So I'm going to come in with a different color. It cracked beautifully. And I can stop here and say, I like that, or thank you, Helen. Let's all hit that heart. Aw, thank you, Sue. Thank you, Giselle, darling. Maybe I think, you know what, I'd like to see a little bit more crackle. Then I won't seal it. I will just wait. You've never had a problem? I have had a problem with my fingers just because I have sweaty little hands 24/7. As do many in my family. All right, so I've done about half. Now I'm going to come in with my paper towel, and I'm going to do that same, little circular motion. When you put the paste on, it almost dulls it a little bit. So when you come back in and wipe it back, you're just taking it away from the spot where there isn't crackle and leaving it behind in the crackle. So like so. And then it shines back up again, so you can see the crackle up top there. But super up high, it's not showing. So we'll use a different color up there. If you use a metal pigment powder or an art mica powder, just use a super soft brush to put it on. I usually use like a little fan brush. We'll do that part together because it's very fragile, super delicate. It just seems to work really good. Or you can use your finger. But powders like that definitely fly around. So I'll tell you, you're pretty much going to give yourself a pigment powder facial. It's bound to get in the air when you're doing it. I'm glad you guys like it. I love this. I could do this with all of you every single day and never tire of it. And because I have those little sweaty hands, like down here too, it's super dark. We're not going to see much of this. Underneath the chair is super dark. We're not going to see the umber. I'll come in with a little something else there. I don't take my gloves off because this hand is going to be sweaty, right? And I'll end up holding it down, and my wet, sweaty hands, which I feel inside this glove, will wreck my project. All right, so that's why you probably see me more often than not using my forearm or whatever. I don't even use the glove because I'm too afraid. And that is so pretty. All right, I see a little spot that I apparently missed here because I see no wax, no big deal. And I myself am happy with this, but I'm telling you, I can get it to crack more. And that's just by encouraging it a little bit with some heat. So sometimes I will walk away, do something else, and come back to it. It's going to have been sitting then, kind of doing its own thing, you know, on its own. And then I can encourage with a little bit of heat. So let's do a little bit of this metal pigment. You can find lots of different colors on TH Decor. If you have a fan on, shut it off at this point. It's a super, super fine powder. And I just get a little bit on my fan brush here, kind of tap off that excess, but it's the same kind of deal. Now I'm just fluffing that on the top there where my crackle isn't showing. Just a little bit. I'm hardly picking up any on my brush. Let's do down here where it's a little bit darker. You could do it all in the umber and be okay with that. Jennifer, thank you, hon, so much for the stars, dear. I appreciate that so much. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Drusilla. I just figure, you know what? I worked so hard to get that to crackle. I want that crackle to show. So I'm doing the bottom two. And I will show you the before. I kind of wipe away the excess. You can see what it looks like. When you first put on your pigment powder or your wax paste, it really almost kind of dulls the crackle a little bit. And you might think, oh my God, did I just wreck it? When you wipe it back, you'll remove that excess, just leaving behind the color in the crackle, and it'll be fine. And sometimes I have to put a little elbow grease in there. Hi, Mom. Been here all the time frying golden eggs right now. Mom, I'm so sorry I didn't see you. Painted and sealed with polyacrylic. Can I use fine line? Hi, sweet Lynn, darling. I don't think I said hi to you either. I have a project that I have already painted and sealed. I think you can. I will say yes. Sweet Jill, if you are still here, would you agree? Hi, Mary. But not seal till the next day so I can take advantage. Me too, then seal. I agree 100%, Drusilla, hun. Brian, golden eggs right now, they're golden because they are so darn expensive. Hey, Betty, do you have the wax in your link? Absolutely, Betty. So in my TH Decor link, you will find wax paste. So if you look on the bottom, you know, you see quite a bit of that metal pigment there. Yes, okay, good. Thank you for answering. I can only use my best, you know, my best guess sometimes, so I appreciate that. Just so I'm not giving any wrong information. All right, so now you're just wiping back that excess. And I know some people think, well, why would you waste all of that product, you know, putting it on just to wipe it back? It's really not as much as you think. I hardly used any on my brush. And I think sometimes, you know, buying all these craft things can be costly, right? So if I find something that is an amazing quality like the Pentart products are, I don't mind spending a little bit because I know what I'm getting, right? Thank you, Helen. And you do get, I mean, that pigment powder, I can't tell you how long I've had it, a long time. And you get a lot out of it because I'm barely touching it. And then I'm also shaking off the excess, right? So then I survey a little bit here, like, okay, there's a couple darker spots where I just want a little bit more color. So I might go back and add a bit more. And once I am happy with the crackle, You know, it's cracked enough for me. Then I will seal it with our solvent-based sealer, and that as well is super sticky. I use another clean, dry brush for that. Don't reuse your brushes at all. Always grab another clean, dry brush. And I know it's a lot to remember, so what I tell myself is to do the same thing with any crackle that I'm using. I always go for a clean, dry brush. That way, when I do the fine line crackle, I know I'm safe, right? And so some of the areas, you can probably hear it in my breath. I'm rubbing kind of, you know, aggressively to make sure I get off that excess enough. And you'll be able to see, it'll just shine right back up. So I would seal this then. If you want more crackle, you leave it. You can, you know, encourage it, like I was saying, with a little bit more heat the next day or several hours later. Then when I've reapplied my wax paste or my pigment powders or what have you, and I'm good, then I would seal with my solvent-based sealer. Then you can come in and do any other embellishments. Exactly, properly dried brush, like no moisture or dampness at all. So let's say you wanted to add some little rhinestones. You would do that after you seal with the solvent-based. Maybe you want to add some stickles or something like that. Always after you've sealed. Fine line on top of a previous sealed surface. I typically glue rice paper, then seal with the varnish, and once it's fully dry, move on to the fine line. Okay, good. Thank you, Helen, for the sprinkle. Oh, good, sweet Lynn. Hi, Tammy. You're not late, my darling. Oh, I love the metal pigments myself. That's usually one that I go to quite a bit. So Betty, I'm so sorry. Yes, the links are in my TH Decor for the wax paste. If you need that link to TH Decor, it's just !THDECOR. Right in the comments of this live, you'll get back a notification with the link. Click on that, and in the search engine that is in the upper right corner. Oh, right, Tammy? These colors are my jam, too. I love this because it also kind of gives me a shabby chic feel. You type in that search engine wax paste if you so chose to do it that way, and it'll come up with all the colors that are available. And or you can type in pigments, metal pigments, whatever you're looking for. You put it in that search engine, it'll pop up things, all the things, hi Mary Lou, that are related to it. But you can also search by category. Sometimes it's super fun to just play around in there and search through the categories and see what you see, you know? Okay, so since we are kind of doing this all together, I'm gonna say I'm happy with this crackle because it's beautiful. Just so you can see from start to finish, I get to be a little bit picky with mine. And as I'm kind of looking at it, if I'm like, I just want it a little bit darker there. I really want to see that crackle. I will add a little bit more. And then instead of really rubbing it away, you know, using my girl muscles, I won't rub as much of it back because I want more of it down in those cracks. All right, I like that. Yep, I mean, the waxes I do use as well. I like the gold wax, that's my favorite, but that for sure gives you more of a metallic look versus an antique paste, which is still a wax, but gives you more of an antique aged look. So that's what I use right here, antique paste. And the color is Umbra, U-M-B-R-A. They also have a black. There's white gold, there's silver, there's copper, there's rose gold, there's brass, there's a blue, there's a green. I mean, there are so many that can look beautiful depending on your background. So there is all that gorgeous crackle. I think that is just right. So now we can seal it together. And then I will be painting some of those Form Flex pieces. All I'll be doing to those is those various colors that I pulled, painting some of those up. You love the gold antique paste and the white one. I don't know if I have the white antique. I might have just regular white. But I need to let a few of my other Form Flex pieces kind of set up a little bit. Thank you, Jill. So now let's come in with our glossy solvent base sealer. And then we will build and finish the rest of it together. Thank you, Kim. Thank you so much, Carol. Once I decide, what do you guys think? Any opinions on the color we should do on the top, bottom, and sides? Thank you, Drusilla. We're gonna frame this baby out with those beautiful Form Flex pieces, and I think we'll pour resin on it together. Thank you, Annette. So, I mean, we could go with like a sagey green, like a basil on the side. We could keep it more natural and just do, thank you, Donna Sue. I do too, that's my thing. I love the gloss. We could keep it more natural and just do an ivory on the side with a little bit of a stencil in, you know, one of those colors, the sagey green, kind of that peachy color or the rose color. Thank you, Mary Jane. So I am open to suggestions. Pink and gray. That could be so beautiful. That could really be nice. I didn't think about the gray, but I like that idea. All right, let's get another clean, dry brush here. Let's see what I got. I don't know if I like that one. I'm also very picky about the brushes. I like them to be nice and soft. Well, thank you, Anna Hun. Why are you adding resin after? Just in case. No specific reason, in case anybody wanted to see it. But I do have another piece that I plan on doing that too, so we could leave it as is and not do resin. Or we're going to use some fire glass together. I've been inspired by Rima. You should match the top and the bottom. It should match. Yes, Kim, darling. Gray. Thank you, Ruth. Hi, hun. Pink and gray, sage, gray. I wouldn't have thought gray. So I'll have to, I don't have many grays, but I will pull what I have and we'll kind of try that. That could be beautiful. And then if we stencil, what color through the stencil if we do gray? Keep that more neutral, or what are you thinking? All right, so when I put on the solvent based, this one does have some smell to it. Keep that in mind. It doesn't bother me. I don't know if I've just done so stinking much fine line crackle. It does not bother me a bit. You'll start to feel that same thing, what I call a drag, when you run out of product. So it'll just kind of get kind of as if you, I don't know, when you run out of product or you're getting kind of down there, it feels like I have to do a little bit more work to, you know, to get it on there. So then just add a little bit more. And be careful if you're doing a, you know, a curved surface or something where it can run, that you don't have the drips. I've had it happen where I've missed them, and I think, you know what, that's fine. It'll be that way. If somebody is looking that close and says, girl, you got a drip there. They've probably never fine line crackle before. All right, so that one, I had a little bit of a brush fur in there. So I was just getting that out. This one too, you'll be able to see better in the light where you've applied it and where you haven't, because this is super glossy. And it's gonna stay glossy. So now we are stopping that process, that crackle process from happening. So if you were to heat this more, you will not get any further cracks, because we just said to it, hey, I'm happy with you, stop cracking, I'm sealing you, and you are gonna be good to go. In my opinion, I do this twice. So once this is nice and dry, I come back and do another one. Another layer of the sealer. Sage, I think. Mixing them would be beautiful. Like the gray idea, it's beautiful. I kind of like that too. Love resin all day, me too. It is so shiny. A pink, a cream, a creme, a Diane. Do I wait 24 hours? So I just wait until it is completely dry, however long that takes. Hi, Bonnie, thank you. And it's gonna stay so glossy. So I always give it a little test too with the back of my hand. You know what I mean? To make sure it's nice and dry. Now my brush like this is probably the stickiest substance out of step 1 and 2 and this one. Get that scrubby soap, get the Murphy's oil. Somebody said the pink soap. The Murphy's oil soap works really well, but I don't like the smell of it. That's just me. Dawn Power Spray works nicely. The scrubby soap works great. You can get that at my All Paint Products link. That's the cheapest I've found it. They have a couple other citrusy soaps out there that are, like one of them looks like a lemon. Those work really good too. Any of the citrus ones are fantastic. You don't need to add a second layer, but if you want to be sure you didn't miss an area, then adding a second layer won't do any harm. That's why I do it. Because more often than not, I know that I miss some spots. So I just prefer to do 2. Okay, so now my hands like are super sweaty because I just encourage them to be sweatier in those gloves. So I definitely am done touching it. You know what I mean? But the gray, if I could find like the darker or mix that one with maybe some of the graphite and the timeless gray, I think is what I used down here, and did the sides, and then found a stencil that was, you know, nothing too busy, I think. Hey, Patty. Just to add a little bit of detail there, I think would be so pretty. Okay, so that is Fine Line Crackle. I hope that that helped and that it wasn't so stinking redundant, right? That it drove you crazy to be here. I know I lost a lot of you. It's been a couple hours now. And these are the pieces that we're going to use to kind of frame this out. So these are all Form Flex. This came from a LeBlanc Borders mold. And like I said, I'm going to paint them in the colors that I kind of chose to go with our flowers, which are mainly these 3. I think those will be gorgeous. But I also pulled that Oyster Pearl from Pentart. So if you say, you know, you had a beautiful pink, but it was a little bit more matte and you wanted it a little softer, this Oyster Pearl over the top is gorgeous. You must seal the surface. Otherwise, a few months from a year to now, your project will, yes, exactly. Thank you so much, Kim Hun. I appreciate you all so greatly. Thank you, April Darlin. If you have any questions whatsoever, please reach out to me. I may not always get back to you as soon as you would like, but I do my very best to answer everyone as often as I'm able to help you through a process. Because if you do order it and you spend the money, I want to make sure that you're happy with it, you know, and that we can make it work together. And then I have 2 of these. So we're going to put one on the top and the bottom. It is so addicting, Giselle. Thank you so much for hanging in with me so long. And then I have just several of these little roses. So we're just going to make a nice little frame out of all of that. And whatever I decide to paint these, I am almost positive that I'll come in with a little of that gold wax paste just to kind of hit the highlighted, you know, raised areas there. We don't have to do resin. I just thought it might be nice. I'm glad you're still here, Giselle. Thank you, Annette. And I do have a piece, a Reba Rose paper that is a fairy. And we're going to try to do resin over some, thank you, Drusilla, hon. I appreciate you being here. Over some fiberglass. I've never done that before, but I have watched Rima do it. She is amazing at it. Rima from Walls and More. Thank you, sweet Trina, darling. I know it's hard because sometimes these lives go on forever. So we're going to give that a shot on something. So we'll be doing resin in the near future. And we'll do it all together, okay? So I can make mistakes and tell you what not to do. Okay. All right, so I'm going to leave you at this point today. Thank you so much, Sue, for being here. I appreciate it. Tomorrow is Grandparents' Day for my bonus grandkids, so I'll be gone a little bit. I should still be able to come and do a live. I'm not 100% sure what time, but I will send a telegram. If you need the telegram link, just type in your comments, !notify, all lowercase, no spaces. Thank you, Cheryl. Oh, you're so welcome. It is my pleasure. I love it. I love it. I love it. All the years I worked in banking, I did a lot of teaching, and it was my favorite thing. Thank you, Della. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you, Jill, so much for all of your information and help today. Giselle, I love you too, darling, so very much. And we have never met. Isn't that amazing? Thank you, Carol. And or if you don't get to put that in the live, exclamation point notify. My Telegram is in my link tree as well. You can find that at the top of my page. Thank you, Annette, so very much. Please enjoy the rest of your day, depending on what you're doing. Stay safe if you have to go out and about. Stay warm if it's chilly and you're getting those snowstorms. And most of all, just be kind to each other, right? Love each other. I think that's the most important thing that we can do. I appreciate you all, and I will see you all sometime tomorrow. Thank you so much. Take good care.